done is put yourself right there at that complex when that little girl was killed. That's exactly what you did. I didn't do anything. Yeah, you did. You killed that girl. You took a knife and you stabbed her. I want to know why you did it. I didn't do it. You killed that girl, man. You stabbed her and you killed her. I did not do it. You did. Yes, you absolutely did. All I want to do is hear the truth. I know what the evidence is going to tell me.
When the body of Shelley Nance, a talented 20-year-old art student, was discovered with 42 stab wounds in her bedroom, police thought they knew who the killer was. The victim's blood and hair appeared in her boyfriend's bathroom. But one small detail, a piece of blue fabric less than 1 centimeter long stuck to her hand, would completely turn the case upside down. Behind this tragic death wasn't a broken romance, but a far more dangerous kind of obsession. Welcome to the Case Files, where we unveil the mysteries behind shocking murder cases, analyzing every detail, every clue, to find the truth. Today, we're stepping into the quiet streets of Lake Highlands, a peaceful Dallas suburb where families trust their neighbors and art students chase their dreams. But in September 2009, that sense of safety was shattered forever. In this episode, we're taking a deep dive into the infamous case of the Lake Highlands art student murder when obsession turned deadly. Part 1. Peaceful Life Before the Storm. Portrait of the victim. Shelley Nance, full name Samantha Michelle Nance, was a promising 20-year-old girl from the small town of Italy, Texas, about an hour's drive south of Dallas. As the youngest of 3 sisters, Shelley grew up with an intense love for art. Starting in 5th grade, while her friends played outside, Shelley sat in her room drawing animated pictures on the computer. In 2009, Shelley was a senior at the Art Institute of Dallas, studying animation design. She had received a competitive scholarship before enrollment, a testament to her exceptional talent. Shelley's dream was to go to California and work for major animation studios like Pixar, where she could create inspiring works. At art school, Shelley was like a fish in water. From a girl with few friends, somewhat isolated in high school, she became a star in her class thanks to her masterful drawing skills. Professors remembered Shelley as a reliable, warm student who was always actively engaged and never caused trouble. Lake Highlands, a peaceful community. Lake Highlands is located in the Dallas, Texas suburbs, a residential area that values traditional family values. This is a friendly place with houses built from the 1950s, 60s, with beautiful gardens and children playing on the front lawns. No one could imagine that a brutal murder would occur in the midst of this peaceful community. Relationships and student life. In her freshman year, Shelley began a relationship with Nathan Shuck, a fellow student. That summer, they officially started dating. Shelley's mother, Cynthia Nance, was very surprised because she had never seen her daughter pay attention to anyone like that. But she didn't object. Shelley lived in a 2-bedroom apartment near school with Ashley Olvera, a classmate. Her life seemed to be progressing well. She started going out more, had a boyfriend, had a roommate, and was gradually moving toward her dream. But someone was silently watching everything. Someone was becoming increasingly obsessed with Nathan, his close friend. And Shelley, the girl Nathan loved, stood between him and the object of that obsession. Part 2. The Fateful Day, September 10th, 2009. Family weekend trip. On Thursday morning, September 10th, 2009, Shelley's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Nance, set out for a weekend vacation to Yellowstone National Park. In a cheerful mood, Cynthia texted all 3 daughters to let them know they were on their way. The 2 older daughters, Rachel and the middle child, both texted back wishing their parents a safe trip and to take care. But Shelley didn't respond. At first, Cynthia wasn't too worried, but after a few hours, when she still hadn't received a text from her youngest daughter, she began to feel uneasy. Shelley had never not texted back. She always replied very quickly. Attempts to contact and alarm. Cynthia decided to call to check, but she didn't have Ashley's, Shelley's roommate's, phone number, so she called the school directly. She knew her daughter had class at 8:30 on Friday morning and wanted to confirm whether Shelley had gone to class since it had been over a day without contact. The school sent someone to check the class, but Shelley wasn't there. The teacher contacted Ashley, who was in another class at the time. To reassure the Nance family, the school let Ashley go home after class to check the situation and have Shelley call home. The horrifying discovery. Around 3 p.m., Ashley arrived at the apartment. She opened the door to Shelley's bedroom and witnessed an indescribably horrifying scene. Shelley Nance lay face down on the bed. She had been stabbed multiple times with a sharp object. According to later reports, the victim had a total of 42 wounds on her body. A fierce, brutal attack that was hard to imagine. Ashley immediately called 911. Part 3. The crime scene and initial clues. Police arrive at the scene. Detective Jason Ginger, a veteran officer with 30 years of experience who grew up in Lake Highlands, was dispatched to the scene. Initial information from dispatch only indicated this was a homicide with a female victim. But when he arrived, even he, someone who had witnessed countless crime scenes, was shocked by the severity of the case. Crime scene analysis. The apartment showed no signs of forced entry. No windows or doors had been pried open. The murder weapon was not found at the scene. This indicated the killer had taken the weapon with them when they left, or disposed of it elsewhere. With 42 stab wounds on the victim's body, the case bore the characteristics of a crime of passion. Criminology experts note that killers typically use knives in murders of acquaintances, especially when there are intense emotional elements like jealousy, hatred, or rejection. For crucial evidence. Police discovered several important details: small blood drops on the bathroom sink and blood stains on the toilet rim, indicating the killer may have washed their hands or cleaned up after committing the crime. A piece of blue fabric stuck to the victim's hand, only about 1 centimeter in size, very unusual, and would become crucial evidence later. Police checked Shelley's phone and computer to determine the time of death. They determined she was killed between 6:00 a.m. and 11:00 a.m. on Thursday, right when her parents were calling her on their way to Yellowstone. Notifying the family. A painful moment. The Shelley family was notified by phone, but poor signal caused the call to drop multiple times. Cynthia only heard fragments. Shelley. Blood. Person. She turned to her husband and asked, "What does that mean?" He replied with a choked voice, "She's dead." The family rushed back to Texas in utter agony, their vacation trip turning into an unforgettable nightmare. Part 4. Investigation. The first suspect. Ashley Olvera, the roommate. Police began investigating Ashley because she was the person who had the most contact with Shelley in the final days. They were suspicious that Ashley hadn't discovered the dead body lying just on the other side of the room for such a long time. Seemed unreasonable. Ashley stated that normally she and Shelley didn't talk much. Sometimes going days without seeing each other was common. However, police pointed out that there was blood everywhere in the apartment, from the sink, toilet to the kitchen, impossible not to see. When asked why she still went to class without checking Shelley's room, she replied, "I didn't think about it, sir." This made her even more of a suspect. Nevertheless, police still didn't have enough evidence to charge her and required Ashley to provide a DNA sample before letting her go. Later, when clear alibi evidence emerged, Ashley was in class during the time of the murder. She was removed from the suspect list. Part 5. Nathan Shuck, the suspicious boyfriend. Summons and interrogation. News of the horrific murder spread quickly through Lake Highlands. The Art Institute student community fell into extreme panic, especially those who knew Shelley. Police summoned Nathan Shuck, Shelley's boyfriend. Nathan seemed like a gentle, calm young man, not someone who could kill. He said he arrived at school at 9 a.m. the day of the murder and stayed there all day. During the interrogation, Nathan revealed that he and Shelley had never been physically intimate, had never kissed, or been affectionate. After much questioning, he admitted to having kissed Shelley once, and often holding her hand. Suspicious scratches. When police requested a physical examination, they discovered scratches on Nathan's body. He explained that it was a habit of scratching himself when anxious due to stress, an explanation that sounded reasonable, but still raised suspicion. After many hours of interrogation, Nathan still maintained his innocence. He provided a DNA sample and allowed a search of his home. Shocking evidence. At Nathan's apartment, police discovered a collection of cold weapons, including knives, swords, and throwing stars, a plastic bag in the bathroom sink with blood and several strands of hair. When asked about the bag, Nathan immediately fell silent and refused to answer, requesting a lawyer. He said someone had planted the bag in his home, but without DNA comparison evidence, police couldn't arrest him immediately. While waiting for the blood and hair analysis results, police continued investigating around Nathan. Part 6. The Turning Point. The One Hiding in the Shadows. Daniel William, Nathan's roommate. Police questioned Daniel William, Nathan's roommate. Daniel insisted he had never entered Nathan's bathroom and knew nothing about the bag. He provided an alibi, detailed his schedule that day, and provided a DNA sample. The funeral and suspicion. When the Nance family held Shelley's funeral, no one yet knew who the killer was. Nathan was asked by the family not to attend the funeral because they suspected he was involved in her death. The next day, at a memorial service at the Art Institute, the family met Nathan for the first time, but no one in the family could shake his hand because in their hearts, they still suspected Nathan was the killer. Memorial boards full of messages, artwork, and condolences were erected throughout the school. Shocking DNA results. When the blood of the 20-year-old Shelley Nance was found in a plastic bag in her boyfriend's bathroom, police finally had the crucial breakthrough they needed. The analysis results showed that the blood and hair on the bag belonged to Shelley. This immediately made Nathan the prime suspect. However, this important trace also simultaneously helped clear suspicion from Ashley Olvera, who had a clear alibi. The mysterious blue fabric. The blue fabric sample stuck to the victim's hand was identified as part of a medical glove. This proved the killer had planned ahead rather than acting impulsively. This was a premeditated murder, carefully prepared. The insurmountable problem. But the biggest problem at that time was, even though there was the victim's blood and hair in Nathan's bathroom, police still had no evidence he had ever been at the crime scene. Could someone be deliberately trying to frame Nathan? If so, who was that person? Part 7. The Truth Beneath the Surface. The Dangerous Relationship. Isaac Owen and the Unexpected Connection. The turning point came when police discovered Daniel William had previously lived with someone named Isaac Owen. Although he had moved out before the murder, Isaac still kept his key and had once had feelings for Shelley. However, Isaac cooperated with the investigation, provided DNA, and had a clear alibi. But he revealed suspicious information about Daniel. Abnormal controlling behavior. Isaac recounted that Daniel had displayed unusually controlling behavior toward Nathan, cooking, doing laundry, giving rides, but then showed jealousy when Nathan didn't reciprocate. This made Isaac feel uncomfortable and forced him to move out. Shelley's mother, Cynthia, confirmed that her daughter had complained that Daniel frequently came between her and Nathan. The secret key. Roommate Ashley recounted, on the very day Shelley was murdered, Daniel kept texting her continuously and then suddenly went silent. Ashley also said that recently she had lent Daniel her car, and the car keys included her house key. This was the crucial clue. Daniel had a key to Shelley's apartment. Part 8. Contradictory statements and scientific evidence. Second interrogation of Daniel. When summoned again, Daniel said he had served in the Navy but was discharged early. He denied ever loving Nathan, only saying their relationship was brotherly affection. But the more he spoke, the more contradictions emerged in his statement. Initially said that morning he only went to Starbucks, then the supermarket. Later, added that he had stopped by a girl's house to take photos. Coincidentally, that girl lived in the same area as Shelley. Daniel's sudden remembering of this detail put him under deeper suspicion. Evidence from security cameras. Finally, video footage from supermarket security cameras showed Daniel had purchased medical gloves, matching the material found on Shelley's hand. Just a piece of fabric, less than a centimeter long, became damning evidence. Part 9. Motive and conclusion. Murder motive. The motive gradually became clear. Daniel was jealous of the relationship between Nathan and Shelley. He felt abandoned, felt that Shelley was stealing Nathan, the person toward whom he had feelings that went beyond friendship. Daniel didn't act out of hatred for Shelley, but out of obsession and jealousy toward Nathan. It was the distortion in perception, combined with not receiving timely psychological intervention, that led to a cold-blooded tragedy. Arrest and trial. On November 4, 2009, after 2 months of investigation, Daniel William was arrested. At trial, he pleaded not guilty, but prosecutors presented a convincing scenario. Daniel took the house key from Ashley's car keychain. The morning of the murder, he stopped by the supermarket to buy gloves. He snuck into Shelley's home and brutally attacked her with 42 stab wounds. Afterward, he tried to frame Nathan by taking the victim's hair and blood and placing it in his friend's bathroom. The murder weapon was never found, but that didn't stop the verdict. On November 4, 2011, exactly 2 years after the crime, Daniel was sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder. Nathan was completely exonerated. Shelley Nance's legacy. The heartbreaking murder that took the life of Shelley Nance is not just a serious crime story from Lake Highlands. It's a clear reminder of the fragility of human relationships and the unforeseen consequences when personal emotions are suppressed too much. Shelley once dreamed of working at Pixar, creating inspiring animated films. She didn't like parties, didn't live recklessly, but only immersed herself in the world of art. But all those aspirations were buried in just one morning. Her family, especially her mother Cynthia, tried to keep that light alive by establishing an art scholarship fund in Shelley Nance's name. They wanted other young people to have the opportunity to pursue dreams, like their daughter. Although Shelley couldn't live on, her dreams and spirit continue to spread through every student who receives that scholarship. Impact on the community. Nathan, Shelley's boyfriend, carries deep psychological scars, not only from losing his girlfriend, but also from having been wrongly suspected, from having his friend deliberately try to frame him. The residents of Lake Highlands, who lived in a peaceful community, have since lived with an underlying fear. They no longer feel safe in their own town, a place that was once a symbol of trust and unity. The Shelley Nance case is a mirror reflecting many aspects of modern society. Lack of mental health awareness. Daniel William didn't receive timely psychological intervention, leading to tragic consequences. Dangerous consequences of uncontrolled negative emotions. pathological jealousy and obsession can turn into violence. The role of scientific evidence, DNA, surveillance cameras, and crime scene analysis played crucial roles in bringing the truth to light. Vigilance toward toxic relationships, early recognition of signs of control, and pathological jealousy is necessary. Shelley's death is an irreplaceable loss, but from that loss, society can draw many lessons to prevent similar tragedies in the future. The most important thing is to never underestimate silence, the smallest signs of abnormality. If Shelley's warnings about her discomfort with Daniel had been taken seriously earlier, perhaps her life wouldn't have been so unjustly taken. Thank you for joining us on the Case Files. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to help us continue bringing light to these untold stories. Remember, justice may be delayed, but it is never denied. Stay safe, stay aware, and never ignore the warning signs around you. Rest in peace, Shelley Nance. Your art, your dreams, and your light continue to inspire.